Kevin J. Johnston, the #1 name in the land of the North, he's risen to fame. 40 years deep in the law he's read. Now the CRA shakes in fear and dread. Stop paying tax forever, my friend. With Kevin J. Johnston, the fight doesn't end. Corporate debt, he'll make it all good. He's the man the CRA misunderstood. They vanish like mist when Kevin shows up with his legal fist. No more matching, no more lies, just clean-cut books and clear blue skies. Stop paying tax forever, my friend. With Kevin J. Johnston, the rules start to bend. The CRA can scream and shout, but Kevin knows how to throw them out. They claim they've got the final say, but Kevin proves there's a better way. He fights for truth, he fights for you, and teaches what the courts won't do. Forever today. Let Kevin J. Johnston show you the way. The expert, the rebel, the man with a plan. He's saving this nation, one client per hand. He's got 40 years of tax law knowing and corporate skills that keep cash flowing. And GST, payroll, all in line. He'll save your neck and every dime. He studied law, both civil crime, and makes tax code sound so sublime. With stand-up jokes and punchlines tight, he makes your seminar a night of light. Kevin J, CRA just runs away. He's the tax manslayer with a legal plan, the best-looking genius in the land. Kevin J, taking all your tax away. If the government's scared, then it's safe to say he's the hero of the North, Kevin J. 2 million women cast their vote, said Kevin's hot, that's all she wrote. The suits at CRA can't compete, he's beaten them clean without deceit. 100 mil he's saved so far, he's raising truth like a legal star. And if you think you owe the state, he'll show you how to terminate. Kevin J, CRA just runs away. He's the tax manslayer with a legal plan, the best-looking genius in the land. Kevin J, taking all your tax away. If the government's scared,
KevinJJohnston here. Welcome to the Tax and Money Show. Oh man, we got part 3 of our deep dive into FinTrack, and wow, are we going to have ourselves a good time. Episode number 112 tonight, everybody. We are, by the time this show is over, going to have each and every one of you to no longer be afraid of these ridiculous government institutions that don't do anything to serve the Canadian public and just steal money from you. We are going to talk about the hows and the whys. How do you protect yourself? What do you legally have to do in Canada? What can you legally say no, you're not going to do in Canada? And many of those reasons why. So to remind everyone, we've done 2 parts on this show so far for the last 2 weeks. You can always watch the replay on freedomreport.ca, everybody. There's nothing wrong with heading over there to check out the previous episodes. There it is in the bottom right corner on Rumble and YouTube, freedomreport.ca. There's at least, 2,000 videos there for you guys to watch, but you do want to watch parts 1 and 2 about FinTrack, and that is me exposing FinTrack and all of their BS, which is about all that they have to offer, everybody. They're not a real institution. They're not cops. They're not judiciaries. They have no capacity to do anything other than write tickets. And every time they write a ticket, well, some of those people that get FinTrack tickets, they contact me, and we just shut down their corporations so that the individual who got the ticket doesn't have to pay the ticket. And there's nothing that FinTrack could do to make you pay the ticket as an individual, because they don't fine individuals, they fine corporations. All right, God. They must be livid right now. I bet FinTrack's watching. The crazy vegan, well, she's a nut. She's a complete nut. Sarah Paquette, I know she's watching right now. And I'm pretty sure, everybody, that they are most displeased. We are not amused by what KevinJJohnston is saying, but gosh darn it, he's absolutely accurate, and there's nothing we can do about it. Whoa, yeah. So, guys, let's dive into it. All right. And to remind everyone, I did invite Sarah Paquette, the director, president, leader, psycho of FinTrack, to come in here and discuss with me face to face and answer some of your questions to do with FinTrack, and they rejected it. So for those who don't believe me, there's the email I sent on the left side, and there is the reply, and there is my invitation to have them watch the show. Without further ado, everybody, let's get right back into FinTrack here. Remember, we covered Sarah Paquette last week and all of her crazy DEI hiring policies, where if you are a white Canadian-born male, you don't get a job. You just do not get a job. She's going out of her way to hire everybody who is completely indoctrinated into the extremist left-wing ideologies out there, which is actually good for us. If we are conservative, intelligent thinkers and intelligent businessmen and women, well, we can outthink these individuals. She's not hiring the cream of the crop. Actually, she's not even hiring the soil. I think she's hiring what the flies leave behind in the soil. And that's okay for all of us, because we can defeat people with exceptionally low IQs and incredible incapacities to deal with the reality of life, which I have noticed is a very big thing. I got into a bit of a case with the Department of Justice. And now here's the problem. I would love to tell you what I really did say and what I really did do when it came to the 2 lawyers, the 2 crazies that the Department of Justice sent my way. And the Department of Justice decided that I was too callous and too toxic for them to even bother pursuing a case in court against me. Wow. And all it took is just a couple of racist jokes. That's it. And well, yeah, some fat jokes too, but that's me directing a little bit of toxicity at them got them to throw the whole thing out. It was absolutely crazy. And that is exactly how they work now in the Canadian government. They issue all kinds of threats, but all you got to do is just insult them. And they'll say stuff like, well, this is causing me deep psychological harm. I cannot be spoken to this way. And they just quit. Do you know, with all the corporations that I've bought in the province of Ontario in Canada, it's like $4.5 million that the Ontario Labor Board wants from me. But because I crack racist jokes on the phone, they've given up. That's all that it takes. You just crack some jokes and $4.5 million worth of fines just disappear because they want to have a non-toxic, free of harassment work environment. Well, Okay. I cannot guarantee that there's going to be a harassment-free workplace when you're the one calling me. All right. So you want my money? You're going to earn it, baby. I'll tell you that right now. Let's dive right into FinTrack, and we're going to get through. There's like 37 slides to go through, so I'm going to be very, 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 very fast. All right. I'm going to rapido, speed this up. Woo. So what their enforcement, if you can call it that, is legally based on is FinTrack operates under the Proceeds of Crime and Money Laundering Terrorist Financing Act, which, and it's a law. They say it's a law. So I'm reading to you what AI calls it, and I'm telling you the truth. So AI says that the law requires FinTrack to act on things like suspicious transaction reports. Yeah, it's like it says STRs. It's almost like STDs, right? Based on what? Large cash transactions, which of course is none of their business, but so many of you just cave in. I don't get it. So they're looking for patterns linked to money laundering or terrorist financing, but they have no idea what that looks like. 95% of the Canadian economy is propped up on money laundering. How would they know? If only 5% of the entire country is not propped up on money laundering, then how would they know what money laundering even looks like? Right? So they have intelligence thresholds for disclosure to police, and they issue fines when the cops don't take them seriously. So could you imagine that? They've got this entire body of 540 people, and when they say, we think that guy over there who does financial services may be doing something wrong, not illegal, but just wrong, the cops don't take them seriously at all. So then they just write tickets, which you can beat in court. So these are our behavior-based triggers, not demographic ones. Yeah, BS. All right, everyone? Of course it's demographic-based. We know what FinTrack is after. Number two. So this is what AI says, how decisions are actually made. So it says, hold on, folks. Just got to check something here. Here we go. So FinTrack does not choose random individuals to target. Instead, they analyze data from banks, real estate professionals, casinos, and money services using transaction patterns and network connections and risk indicators. So the little finger says, this is often described as risk-based intelligence, intelligence-led model. So it's wild guesswork. That's what that means, everybody. It's wild guesswork. They say someone's running a charity casino. So they might be doing something that we don't like. That's all that it means. Or the financial advisor guy who got on the phone with us and said, F you, he's not going to cooperate with us. Well, let's give him a ticket. There's nothing we can do other than give him a ticket. So let's just give him a ticket. And then what FinTrack does when they issue these ridiculous tickets is they put the news on their own feed. So FinTrack doesn't have their own website. They just have a little section of the official website of the Canadian government called Canada.ca. And that official or so-called official website has a news article, FinTrack issues another fine. And then junk news outlets pick up on that, and maybe CBC picks up on that, and so on. The average Canadian doesn't even know what FinTrack is. That's the problem. But whenever someone gets a letter or a phone call from FinTrack, they just start immediately crying and do whatever FinTrack says, all right? So there we go, folks. Moving on. Number 3. So where does their inclusivity policies apply, all right? Sarah Paquette's inclusivity policies mainly affect internal operations like hiring and promotions. So if you are part of the extremist left-wing ideology, you get promoted. If you're a guy wearing a wig and a dress, you get promoted. That's just how it is. Workplace culture, again, same thing. And training on bias and discrimination. All right, well, everybody hates something, don't they? I hate cold weather. So what would they call me, a coldest? And tell me that I can't have a job? All right, whatever, man. So they have analytical awareness, apparently, and they encourage their staff to avoid unconscious bias. What does that mean? I am absolutely conscious of all of my bias. Every bias I have, I am absolutely conscious of it, and I live according to it and my convictions. She's going to say, Kevin, you're white, and I know you don't like pedophiles, but you better like them if you want to work here. That's essentially what I'm hearing when it comes to these policies. And if you've ever listened to her speak, that's exactly what I think she says. So they also say that you have to be careful with assumptions about individuals or groups. Well, I assume that alcoholics will drive drunk and eventually kill someone. I believe that. Ergo, I have a bias against that particular branch of humanity. I don't want to be around them. I don't want them in my personal life. I don't want them having any influence over what I say and do. I don't want them near my family. I don't want them in my office. That's a bias. And I assume that kind of an individual is going to do bad for society. So it says, in theory, this is meant to reduce unfair profiling, not increase it. And who believes that? All right, moving on. Number 4, could DEI indirectly influence enforcement? Indirectly, yes. And even AI says indirectly, yes. Their biased way of hiring people could influence enforcement. So it says indirectly, yes, but in a limited and or specific way. Analysts are trained to avoid bias in interpreting data, and there's more scrutiny on whether patterns are evidence-based, whether assumptions rely on stereotypes, but unfortunately, white groups are targeted. So there we go. And apparently what it does not mean is that non-white groups are targeted more. We know that because white groups are targeted. Certain groups are protected from investigation. That's actually not true. There are a lot of certain groups that are completely immune to investigation. We know which ones they are. And that enforcement thresholds are lowered or raised based on identity. They say it's not, it is. That's what FinTrack does. So any such behavior would conflict with the law and expose FinTrack to a legal challenge. But here's the thing, Canada, there is no longer the rule of law in Canada. So they do whatever they want anyway. The CRA does whatever they want anyway. Judges in Canada are being exposed now as P3DOs, and they're still on the bench. Now, 3 Toronto police officers just got arrested in Barcelona, Spain, for stalking and beating the snot out of a female prostitute. Why would they do that, man? You ever wonder why I have absolutely no trust for police at all? It's because they're just thugs. They're really mean people, not tough. They're not strong. They're not tough. They're mean. And being cruel does not denote masculinity at all. They do this stuff all the time. You know, when I was a disc jockey downtown Toronto, I would watch the Toronto police just walk up and randomly beat people up. Yeah. You guys know I used to DJ the gay clubs downtown. So, okay, so I just got a restriction notice. I used to DJ the gay clubs downtown. Now, back in the 80s and early 90s, it was a good time back then. Like, there was no left-wing ideology that went along with it. So I had a good time. I made a lot of money doing it. But Toronto police would just come by and pick on the gay dudes and start beating them up. And I've watched this happen. So I get it. There's cruelty in that line of work. And certain minds that are not the best flock towards that kind of thing because they want power. They want to wear the bulletproof vest. They want the pepper spray. They want the flashlight. They want the radio to call more guys, and they want the guns. That's just that's the way it is. It's horrendous. All right. So because there's no rule of law in Canada, this stuff, they just do what they want, but they're not very good at it. Number 5, oversight and constraints. This is all FinTrack that we're talking about, everybody. All right. All FinTrack. All right. FinTrack is not free to act arbitrarily. It's constrained by federal legislation, privacy laws, audits and reviews, and the courts if disclosures are challenged. Right. Now, in Canada, everybody, you have the right to remain silent. So if FinTrack is telling you you have to answer us, or you have to do what we say, you have to write a policy with us in mind when it comes to handling money, and you don't feel like doing it, just remain silent. We send off a legal letter saying, thank you very much for your letter and thank you very much for your time on the phone. We have elected to exercise our right to remain silent. Do not contact us again, or we'll charge you criminally. It is that simple. FinTrack, if they're making phone calls to you and you say stop, that's criminal harassment. If they threaten you, that's uttering threats and intimidation. These are crimes, man. So FinTrack is constrained by the Criminal Code of Canada, just like I am. There's a lot of stuff I would love to do when it comes to auditors and people who work for FinTrack and the CRA. Oh, man, I can't tell you the things I would love to do because, they'll shut me down. But, man, I'll tell you that right now. I'm not going to do them because they're against the law. There we are. But FinTrack doesn't care. They do it anyway. So they also have this thing where their disclosures must meet very strict thresholds before being presented to law enforcement agencies like the Canada Revenue Agency or the RCMP. Now, AI misspoke in this slide here. The Canada Revenue Agency is not a police force. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police are. The CRA, because they also work in civil law, just like FinTrack, will accept whatever FinTrack has and say, thank you for the free info. Like, this is good. We want the info. But the RCMP, they're going to look at it and say, oh, for God's sakes, no, we're busy. That's what's going to happen. And no, everybody, this is not a pre-recording. It is currently 9:22 p.m. on the 19th of February in the year AD 2026. All right, there you go. We are live, everyone. We are live. Now, I am quite familiar with police departments not wanting to be involved with stuff like this. As you guys know, I used to be a journalist, and I had a whole bunch of losers that worked for various branches of the Canadian government who would call the police and say, Kevin is saying mean things downtown Calgary. And the cops would just say no. My lawyer, though, he would call me at least once a week and say, oh, Kevin, I got 9 phone calls from the police asking questions about what you're saying. Thinking, okay, so am I under arrest? No, they aren't going to pursue it. So if it's a really pathetic attempt to get somebody in trouble, the cops will ignore it. Not always, but mostly. So although this is what the law and the policies may say, they act completely outside the law and are rarely punished for it. And that's very true, folks. Unfortunately, there is no punishment unless you, the individual person, actually files criminal charges at the courthouse against members of FinTrack or the Canada Revenue Agency. You start doing that, things will start to change. All right, number 6, real world evidence. Public reporting and enforcement actions show a focus on crypto exchanges, casinos, real estate transactions, and cross-border money flow, not individual identity groups except for Christians. It's true. They attack Christians all the time. But getting back to what I'm saying with this is they focus on, this is FinTrack now, the so-called anti-money laundering group of people who are supposed to protect us from terrorists around the world, and of course have no capacity to do so. They focus on crypto exchanges. Why? Because crypto exchanges are dealing in crypto, and they're dealing in fiat currencies in whatever fashion they choose to do so. So FinTrack will say, we think that you're involved in something shady. We have no evidence, and nobody inside your corporation has complained to us, but we're going to cut you a fine anyway. That's what they do. And the same thing with casinos and charity casinos and bingo halls. They do this stuff all the time. And they're really putting a lot of pressure on real estate agents out there. And of course, Canadians are gutless, so they just put up with it. If FinTrack says you have to collect all this information or you're not allowed to sell the house, you know what all the real estate agents in Canada do? Oh my God, I can't sell the house because someone I've never met says. And then they lie to you and tell you that they have to collect everything that FinTrack tells them to. And I always ask, especially on behalf of my clients, hold on, did you get a court order before you made that statement? Did you actually get a court order from FinTrack that says you must collect for my client specifically with specific reasons listed in that court order? Well, of course you didn't. And they'll say stuff, well, that's just not how it works. FinTrack calls it. We have to do it. It's the government. Woo, woo. They sound like dogs howling at the moon. Oh, FinTrack. Oh, it's pathetic. And if you are a real estate agent out there, no, you do not have to do anything that FinTrack says, regardless of what level that you are. And I don't care if they say the fines start. FinTrack loses more than half the time in court. So take the fine, fight them in court, win, then sue FinTrack. Because why would any of you walk away from money? If someone says, I'm not allowed to make money, yeah, you can go straight to hell. The Canadian government, everyone, had a court order on me not allowing me to have a job. Yes, they wanted to make sure that they kept control of this big mouth. So they said, you must be on welfare. Yeah. And one of the judges actually helped me get welfare and then told me, if I find out you're working a job anywhere, I'm going to lock you up for 5 years. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So what was my solution? Leave communist Canada. I left the country. I haven't been back in 2.25 years. So I went from being broke as hell on welfare to being a multimillionaire in Panama. You know that guy online? What's his name there? The nomad capitalist. He's got a great slogan. Go where you're treated best. Panama treats me like a god. It's amazing here. In fact, there's a word, rey, in Spanish, R-E-Y. I get called Rey a lot here. Rey means king. It's pretty cool to be around people that say king. Now, I do a lot of good for the people here. So it's not like they just walk up to me and say, oh, look, white skin, he's a king. That's not how it works. It's a matter of I'm involved with a lot of church groups here. I work with a lot of people in the area, and I do a lot of cool stuff because I just enjoy life in general. But whenever I did cool stuff for Canadians, I'd get the middle finger. Well, so I just gave up doing things for free for Canadians and moved to Panama. You all have the same right to do the same thing. All right. So FinTrack does not enforce based on anything at all except for their false accusations. And I'm going to ask all of the real estate agents watching this right now. If you sell a house, how would FinTrack know that you are in the midst of selling a house? They get the reports anywhere between, let's say, 2 months and 2 years later. And what's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Well, let me tell you what's going to happen. You might get a phone call on every 12th or 13th house. Oh, hi, did you sell a house and did you get all the paperwork you required? Lie. Just lie on the phone. Oh, hey, FinTrack, good to hear from you again. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call the company lawyer. I'm going to have them get you a call and they'll help you out with whatever you need. Oh, okay. The lawyer's going to call. My name is John, and my phone number is blah, 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 blah. Lie. All that FinTrack does is lie. And if you tell people who work for the government what they want to hear, they'll leave you alone for a couple of months. And every single time that they call you back, yes, listen, I talked to Gary about that. Just me, Gary. I talked to Stevie about that, whatever, the fake lawyer that doesn't exist. I talked to Gary about that, and Gary mentioned that he had shipped the package over to you, and he said someone had signed for it. Would you like me to get the reference number from FedEx for you? Oh, that would be lovely. Okay, my name is this, and my phone number is that. We're at FinTrack. Ha! They're stupid. Then you get 3 or 4 more months, and eventually they just stop calling. Lie. It's okay to lie to FinTrack. And someone here says they physically come and sit in your office. Not my office, I'll tell you that right now. You walk in my office and flash a business card saying I work for FinTrack or the CRA. I'm going to say, listen, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to not only be outside my office, but in your car and off the property. And if I were you, I'd move fast. That's how that works. All right. Got the phone ready. I type 911. I'm waiting to hit send. And I just start counting real loud. Yeah. So if someone comes to your office, I'm with FinTrack, get the freaking hell out of my office. If some cop walks into your office, oh, hi, I'm a constable, whatever. I don't give a crap what you are. If you don't have a warrant, get the F out of here now. Yeah, I've kicked cops out of many places. You're allowed to do this, everyone. Right? What is a FinTrack employee? Just a loser who works for the government. What's a cop? just some guy wearing a costume. It's got a word, police. And you all look and say, oh my God, police. Just tell them to get the hell out. That's the part about Canadians that bothers me the most is you don't do this. Someone shows up with a little bit of confidence and a business card and you spill your guts to them. Come on. You got to be smarter than that, everybody. Moving on to slide number 7 here. So the bottom line, according to FinTrack, this is not according to me, it's according to them, that inclusivity policies do not directly control enforcement decisions. Lies. There is no evidence of identity-based targeting or protection. More lies. Enforcement is driven by transaction data and legal thresholds. No, it's not. They just make things up. And DEI policies may mainly ensure fairness and reduce bias internally. It is impossible to reduce bias when you're not all part of the same business culture. All right. I had to fire now, I think it's 12 people in total because they can't handle the business culture that I am enforcing here. I have a business culture of we want to make money. By this time next year, my plan is to be making $2 million US per week, which means 8, 12, 14, 16-hour days. It means once in a while when things go wrong, I'm going to raise my voice and, throw a couple F words out the door and so on. You're going to look at that and say, oh my God, Kevin yelled. You don't belong here. Yeah. If I flip off or pop because something's going wrong, my staff's job is to hear what I'm saying. I don't want apologies. I don't want ass kissing. I don't want tears. I just want them to say, all right, I'm on it. That's it. It's the same thing that I would do when my boss, whenever I did have a job and a boss in the past, he's screaming at me. He pays the checks. No problem, boss. I'm on it. Right? It's nothing personal. It's a job. But FinTrack, what they've done is they're not building a corporate culture that is based around a corporate unity. I've built an incredible culture here. The unity is incredible. It is phenomenal. We're all on the same page. They're not, because they're too busy bringing forward their own cultures, which in many cases aren't that great. And they're bringing in their own ideologies and their own mental illnesses and their own weird outlooks on life. You've got 540 different people with different ideologies that they're all upstairs in their head, and they're all fighting each other. That's good for us, okay? It's very, very good for us that they are doing this, but it's still bad for us in that many of you do not know your rights. And FinTrack just keeps throwing fines out the door. And unfortunately, sometimes you guys fall for it. And yes, guys, I have one TikTok channel, the one you're currently watching, Real Kevin J. Johnston. There's a lot of scammers out there. They can't spell my name. They always put an L in there. KevinJJohnston. I do not communicate with anybody through direct messaging on TikTok. And I do not send messages in TikTok looking for money. I am not on Telegram looking for money. I'm not on Signal. And if you're talking to anybody on WhatsApp, it ain't me. It's not me. You don't get my phone number until you're a client. So it's not me. You're talking to scammers. If you get scammed, I can't help you. I don't have time to help you get your money back. And how would I do that anyway? Always be vigilant online. Use my website, KevinJJohnston.com. Do all your communicating with me through that website. So here we go. This is a step-by-step FinTrack, how a FinTrack case actually gets triggered and moves through their so-called system, everybody. Number one, a transaction happens. So everything starts with a financial activity like selling a house, depositing or moving money, sending funds internationally, receiving large payments. This happens through banks, real estate lawyers and agents, brokerages, casinos, and money services businesses like what I offer. And I don't have a FinTrack policy except for to tell them where to go. All right. So if you're selling a house, question the broker in advance. Say, hey, are you afraid of FinTrack? Oh, yeah, we have to do everything they say. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. Don't work with a coward. Never work with a coward. Never put anything to do with your financial future in the hands of those who are afraid of faceless corporations. And that's all FinTrack is a corporation. Nothing more, everyone. So to deposit or move money. Obviously the banks are going to report everything to FinTrack. Of course they are. And there's been a couple of times where I've got phone calls from the bank saying, why did you deposit $144,000 in the bank? Why did you deposit $90,000 in the bank? It's because my clients paid the invoice. That's why. Oh, can we see the invoice? You know what? If it'll get you off my back, yes, but you're not going to see who the client is. And I block everything out. There's the description, there's the price, there's my information, and they'll say, oh, well, we need to know who the client is. I'm saying, yeah, no problem. Get a court order. Now, I'm not going to tell them that when they get a court order, I'm going to appeal it. And if I lose the appeal, I'm going to ignore the court order anyway. I don't give a crap about the courts. I don't give a crap about judges. I couldn't care less about Canada. I care about the clients who pay me to do a job. And everyone out there should be talking to you the same way that I am. So always ask your mortgage broker, your financier, your financial advisor, your real estate agent, broker, your insurance agent. Do you cooperate with FinTrack? If they say yes, dust them. Don't do business with them. Next, step 2. So a report is created, and this is the trigger, if you will. The institution decides whether they are legally required to file a report to FinTrack. All right? The institution. Now, I'm telling you, I'm in the money services business, and I've decided that it's not necessary to talk to FinTrack. The banks could do the same thing. They've got better lawyers than I do, but they don't. So, common report types. A suspicious transaction report, an STR. Remember I said STD earlier? Same thing. Based on the opinion of a loser. That's all that it is. And the suspicious transaction, that's you, Canada. All right? That's the real estate agents and so on out there. This is suspicious. Oh my God. I got to report to FinTrack. What is suspicious about some guy says, hi, I want to buy a house. You have listing number AD 44182. It's the one with the red roof. I want that house. That's so suspicious. Oh my God. And that is how FinTrack has trained you. Like you're monkeys. Imagine that. Oh. Yeah. I'll throw you a banana. Do what FinTrack says. Okay. That's what you do. It's pathetic. Next. So if they've got something that doesn't make sense or there's no economic purpose or unusual behavior. So hold on a second here. FinTrack wants you to write policies to identify a no economic or an unclear economic purpose. What the hell would I buy a house for? Either A, to live in it, or B, to give it away to someone as a gift, which I'm never going to do, or C, to rent it out and make money. Hold the asset. Could anyone please just tell me now if I've got it all wrong here? What would be suspicious about me wanting to buy a house? Or you wanting to buy a house? All right. 2, a large cash transaction. And they've got a little short form for it, an LCTR. And this matters why? So what they say is $10,000 or more in cash. Actual cash is supposed to be suspicious. Listen, for all of you out there who collect cash and you want to hire me, I take cash. If you want to pay me $700,000 in cash, I will take that cash. Guess who I'm not calling? FinTrack. It's none of their business. Because here, just let's talk about this for a second here. Hi, FinTrack. How are you? My name's KevinJJohnston, and I just took $700,000 from a client. And the questions are going to start. Well, what do you do for a living? So I got to name the company and what we do. Oh, where do you bank? Okay. What's your phone number? How long have you been in business? What's the invoice number? Who's the client? How'd the client get that money? Give me the client's name and phone number. What's the client's wife's name? It just keeps going. How's about this? I'll cut you an invoice for $700K. Pay me cash. I'll stamp it paid, but I won't say paid cash. It's paid. Congratulations. If I need to, I'll notarize it for you, but it's paid. And if I get mugged, like someone knocks me in the head with a tire iron and takes the cash, that's on me, not on you. All right. So if I'm going to collect $700,000 in cash from you, expect me to be wearing a helmet and probably hockey gear, right? And fast running shoes. But you get the point. I'm not snitching on you or me. And why is $10,000 is nothing. These days, it's 3 cups of coffee at Starbucks. What is going on here? 10 grand. What does 10 grand buy you? Oh, in Panama, it buys you a brand new car. In Canada, it buys you shoes. Maybe. So why would $10,000 be suspicious, anyone? And why would any of you panic when you see 10 grand? If you get 10 grand in $100 bills, it's about that thick, right? Maybe. In 20s, it's about that thick. How is that suspicious? Maybe the guy was a farmer. I'll never forget. We did this farm job. I remember this. We had to rip out an old fence. And this is up just south of Sudbury, Ontario. It was a crap job, but we were tearing apart this old fence because the old guy died and the adult kids didn't want the farm. They were getting everything ready to sell, but we had to rip out the big cow fence. And as we're ripping it out, I heard rattling and I looked down the fence pole and there was a jar full of cash. That's where this farmer had been hiding his money, at the fence poles. So I didn't say anything about it. I dug a small hole and buried it, knowing I was going to get it later. And I went to the poles. There was 6 of them. There wasn't very much cash in it because all the bills in there were like 20 years old and older. But man, you think I'm going to tell anyone about that cash? Cash is awesome, everybody. It's phenomenal. Take it. Take the money. Then we got number 3, electronic funds transfer report. And a report, an EFTR. Ooh, okay. So more than $10,000 being sent internationally or anywhere for that matter. Why is that suspicious? I would like to buy, I don't know, a beach house in Florida. $600,000, $700,000, $800,000. It's suspicious to transfer $800,000 to the real estate company to have them hold and then run the deed on the property and turn the property over to me. Buying a house is suspicious. Wow. How about this? In Las Vegas, there's conventions all the time, especially old car conventions. You could probably get your hands on a 67 Stingray and the auctioneers got it up for 140 grand. You're buying the car sight unseen because you've hired a guy to go and find the car for you. So you win the auction. Now you got to wire 140 grand US to buy the car. How is that suspicious? It's a car purchase. All of you need to stop doing FinTrack's job for them, all right? Just knock it off. So this is the most important step. If there's no report filed, FinTrack usually never sees you, all right? So shut up. Shut up. Stop talking to them. You're not obligated legally to talk to them at all. They work in civil law, not criminal law. 3, data enters FinTrack's system. So essentially some loser snitches. And once reported, FinTrack stores the data, combines it with other reports, cross-references names, accounts, businesses, and transaction patterns. And then one report alone does nothing. I mean, that's the truth. It's the pattern over time that matters. So the more you people cooperate with FinTrack, the more of a dossier and or file they will have on you. So do not work with real estate agents or mortgage brokers who cooperate with FinTrack, and you're going to be just fine. 4, pattern detection and linking. FinTrack uses analytics to look for repeated large transfers. So structuring $9,900 transactions over and over again to avoid the 10K rule, right? Somehow that bothers them. I do this all the time. And the reason I do it all the time is the prepaid credit cards that I use only allow $9,500 a day. Okay, $9,500. You think for a second I'm going to call FinTrack. Hi guys, I'm paying my prepaid Visa card because in Panama you can buy a condominium on a Visa card. So please inquire as to where I got the money. Some of you would actually do that. Hi FinTrack, I just transferred money to my Visa card. Is that okay? Ooh. Yeah. People do this stuff all the time. All right. Then there's connections between multiple people and or companies and links to known high-risk sectors like crypto, real estate, and casinos. My God. Okay. High what? If I'm buying crypto, I'm telling you this now. You guys know I tell you a lot of stories, but I mean, here's the truth. When I buy crypto, It's for life. I'm buying crypto now and I'm hanging on to it. I don't spend it. Not now, not ever. Well, maybe at some point. Let's just say, for argument's sake, XRP goes to $10,000 a coin. I worked it out. I'll be worth somewhere in the range of $1.6 billion. That should be enough to retire. I wouldn't retire. You know, I would take that money and make more money with it because I've only got 33 years left on this planet and I still haven't pissed off enough people yet. I can do a lot of pissing off with that kind of dough, but I'm holding on to it. Is that FinTrack's business? I know, Rui, it's not going to 10K. Relax. All right. But I'm buying it. It's none of their business. And am I high risk buying crypto and sitting on it? Am I high risk buying multiple condominiums in Panama and the big piece of beach I just bought in Colombia? And I'm actually looking at beachfront property in El Salvador. Is that suspicious? Well, I'm going to tell you what I'm planning on. Thank you. See, I appreciate that. I am planning on building beach resorts in the future. Is that suspicious in some way? Thank you, Jeff. Or do I sound like some guy who's finally found a niche and just wants to have fun and make more money? All right, think about that, everyone. I'm certainly not going to call FinTrack and tell them where the beaches are. Hi, FinTrack. Could you get on a plane, please, and come down and look at my beach and then ask me where I got the money? Come on, man. Right? But people do this. Stop talking to the government. Real estate is not high risk. Casinos are not high risk. You know, casinos police themselves better than the police could ever police them. Casinos are no threat to anyone at all. You know who else is not a threat? The Hells Angels. You know what they are? They buy real estate, man. They're a not-for-profit corporation. They drink a lot, but that's it. They're no threat at all. These institutions are not threats. FinTrack just wants money for nothing, so they issue tickets and tell you, well, we think that you're high risk. Too bad. Okay, so our next one here. So the threshold for reasonable grounds. FinTrack cannot just send everything to the police or CRA. They must reach a legal threshold under the Proceeds of Crime, Money Laundering, and Terrorist Financing Act. All right. If that threshold is not met, the data stays internal. They can't share it with anybody. So nothing is supposed to happen to you. However, they will issue fines because they feel like it. Take them to court, file criminal charges for fraud. All right. Protect yourself. It's just civil law, people. Moving on to the next one here. Step 6, disclosure to authorities. If the threshold is met, FinTrack sends a disclosure package to the RCMP, the Royal Canadian, whatever they call them, Canada Revenue Agency, and CSIS. If it's a national security case. Okay, you guys want to have a laugh? Just go to Google and type in CSIS official website, Canada Stupid Intelligence Service, whatever. So Canada's Security and Intelligence Service. On their own website, CSIS is not the FBI, all right? They say, we are not a law enforcement agency. If there's a problem, call the RCMP. So CSIS collects all kinds of information, I guess, on bad people in Canada doing bad things, I guess, and then report them to the the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, I guess. And I guess that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police ignore them, which they did when it came to the truckers' convoy. CSIS said there's no threat. No, there's no credible threat in Ottawa during that whole COVID nonsense thing. None. And the RCMP didn't care. Trudeau still shut everything down and stole money out of people's bank accounts and stole people's trucks. Think about that. So who cares if they send it to CSIS? I have a CSIS file this thick. You know what CSIS said? I'm no threat to anybody because I don't shoot people. I don't beat people up. All right. The RCMP, I saw my disclosure package when it came to the RCMP and CSIS trying to figure out a way to get me off the internet. And even the RCMP said, there's no records of bar fights. He doesn't have any assault charges. He doesn't get into fights. When he gets pushed around as a journalist, he just keeps the microphone on and keeps talking. Even the RCMP said, I'm no threat. God's sakes, man. So think about that, everybody. I'm a journalist with the biggest mouth in Canadian history. I even cost Justin Trudeau over $100 million when I divulged what he put in his mouth. All right, I divulged all that, and nothing's happened. So what makes you think, you not being a public figure like me, what are they going to do to you? If you keep your mouth shut, absolutely nothing. All right. But here's the important distinction now. FINTRAC does not charge you. FINTRAC in Canada are not cops, right? They're just not. They're nothing. So they only pass along intelligence. But what you've got 540 extremely unintelligent people who work for FINTRAC. So they're just offering opinions. They're writing up complaints. Wah. The guy wouldn't cooperate with me. He told me that he doesn't like my lipstick. I'm going to complain to the police. That's all they do. The CRA has no power, and FINTRAC has no power. And CSIS data, they're just a data collection agency, all right? They're not law enforcement either. So we have all of these institutions in Canada that are not law enforcement, yet all of you are terrified of them. They're all terrified of them. Hi, CSIS. How you doing? I've never met any of you in person, but I agree with you. You're not police, and you're probably keeping a file on me, and you're probably watching this show right now, and I'm pretty sure you've got some AI software right now transcribing everything I'm saying, and you've got software that's going around my eyes right now to see if I'm on methamphetamines or to see if I'm drunk, and you probably have the same software going looking around my face here, trying to figure out, why it is I'm so happy when I'm on this show talking about you and the other institutions. Is it really that tough to figure out, by the way? Yeah, I saw my psychological profile because they made me do one. The government of Canada made me do one. And the guy that I felt bad for, he didn't want to do this. But I had to sit in a psychologist's office, and we had this conversation. And he's saying, why do you think you're here? I said, well, I know why I'm here. I thought you knew why I was here. Why am I here, sir? So no, I asked you a question. I said, okay, well, I'm answering your question with a question. Why am I here? He says, I think you've upset someone. I said, no, I've upset a lot of people. I've upset a lot of very weak individuals in Canada. So please, sir, doctor, tell me why I'm here. And after about 3 or 4 minutes of this kind of banter back and forth, the two of us just leaned back in our chairs and had a conversation. That's all that it was. And the guy wrote down that Kevin's down to earth and just doesn't care about the system. What else could a psychologist possibly say about me? I don't care about the system. I see through the system. It's a joke. I have no respect for the courts. I have no respect for the way that police run their institutions. I have absolutely no respect for the education system in Canada. I have no respect at all for the medical systems in Canada. They're all run poorly by very weak individuals with low IQs and extreme emotional and mental problems. And I don't want to be a part of it. It's really that simple. So think about that, everybody. I was court ordered to see a psychologist. Normally I would appeal that kind of thing, but I had to. And he was actually a pretty good guy. So it wasn't a complaint, by the way. Now, reporting national security information. These people at FINTRAC supposedly do this. So inquiries made for CSIS, recruiting or security clearances through this web form will not be answered. All right. And you know where that comes from? That's directly from CSIS's website. All right. CSIS's mandate is to investigate activities suspected of constituting threats to the security of Canada and to report on these to the government of Canada. Key threats include terrorism, espionage, and foreign interference. Notice how they say we don't investigate the government. They actually do. And it's sad that when they are investigating the government, it's kind of falling on deaf ears because we know that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police are not going to do anything with the information. And we know that the federal government, the Liberals, they're going to stay in power for a while because boomers keep voting for them. Now, CSIS is going to report on the government's shenanigans to the government and get absolutely nowhere. All right. So they want to talk about cyber tampering and other threats to critical infrastructure. Canada's critical infrastructure has been under attack for a very long time. All right. A very long time by foreign invaders. We know that the immigration policies in Canada is just a foreign invasion. And all these foreigners that we have coming in, they now have a complete stranglehold on our politics and our infrastructure. So what CSIS needs to do, I suspect here, is to make a phone call to Donald Trump and say, Mr. President, we have a problem. We have too many foreigners running Canada's critical infrastructure. Could you please come and remove the government? That's what CSIS should be doing. But they're cowards like everybody else. And listen, everyone, you want to talk about cowardice? I just got to reflect very quickly here on Afro Man, where the police illegally entered his house and the chunky cop kept looking at the guy's cake. And Afro Man, God bless that guy. He is hilarious. Sings a song insulting all the cops that were illegally in his house, damaging his house. And the cops sued him. Yeah. And the one chick cop was crying on the stand. He embarrassed me. That's what we're dealing with, man. So you have CSIS, you've got the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and the Calgary Police and Toronto Police and FinTrack and the CRA. They're all like that cop who was crying on the stand. All of them. Put a little bit of pressure on these people and they snap. They can't handle it. Hey, I'm sure that 90% of cops in Canada would fail a real psychological analysis. They'd fail. Look what happened with Afro Man. Guys, you want to talk about someone that knows how to make a mockery of the entire system? He's in the courtroom. His entire suit is American flags. And he's answering questions. And every time he answers a question, he's just accusing. It was amazing to watch. And you saw the cops crying on the stand. That's what they do. So if all of you out there go on the attack against FinTrack and the Canada Revenue Agency, they back down. Lawsuits, criminal charges, they stop. So I need all of you out there to stop fearing these things. I got a great question here. Realtor LP, why are there so many accounts impersonating you? Because I have more influence on TikTok and I have more influence on social media than the Canadian government does. That's why. Because I'm making a ton of money doing what I do. And these guys want to steal your money. So nobody do business through TikTok, please. I do not do DMs. I do not communicate with anyone on TikTok at all. It's all through my website, KevinJJohnston.com. Oh, I got a question here again. Are you married? No, I'm not. Okay, so knock that off. Oh, you all ask, but nobody proposes. I mean, first off, you got to propose. You got to be hot and you got to be rich. All right. $100 million net worth. Otherwise, don't bother. All right. Yeah. I will get married for money like women do. All right, cool. All right. Next, what do we got there? So we have the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, which of course never happened in Canada. So if you believe that you have information related to national security that CSIS should know about, please report it. Well, CSIS, Mark Carney's job is to completely destroy what is left of the Canadian economy. I'm reporting Mark Carney right now. He has committed high treason already. Would you please do something about it? You won't, but there's my complaint. Now, here's the last part of what CSIS has to say. CSIS is not a law enforcement agency. To report an immediate threat to national security, please call 911 or your local police department. Oh, okay. CSIS, forget I complained about Mark Carney. Find something better to do with your time. Really. You guys suck. You're no FBI, I can tell you that. Step 7, investigations outside of FinTrack. So now the real action happens, right? If FinTrack really wants to try to hurt you, what they'll do is they'll send your info to the CRA, and the CRA may audit you. So fucking what? If the CRA wants to audit you, you call me and I get rid of the CRA. We ban the auditor from ever talking to you again. No trespass notices and all the legalese that we absolutely need. Don't worry about that. If that's the best FinTrack can do, you got nothing to worry about. So next, they say police may investigate. So if the cops call you, hello, Mr. Smith, this is Constable Jones of the Ontario Provincial Police. Yeah, hey, listen, brother, I got nothing to say to the cops. Call my lawyer. Hasta luego, fangulo, and hang up the phone. We don't have to talk to them. And warrants may be sought. That's what FinTrack says. I'm sorry, by who? Whom will be getting those warrants, and from what judge and for what reason? Oh, wait a minute, FinTrack, you're not cops. You can't get warrants. Did I just spoil something for you? FinTrack is just the intelligence feeder, not the enforcer. Yeah, they got that right. They are not the enforcer. If you stop talking to them, stop cooperating with them, and start suing them, you'll never have a file on you. Next slide. Number 8, step 8, possible outcomes with FinTrack. Depending on what the authorities find, nothing happens. No matter what happens within these stupid investigations, most of the time, nothing happens. Or they'll do an audit or a reassessment. Again, who cares? Hire me. The audit is over. There might be civil penalties. Oh my goodness. FinTrack's going to write a ticket that we are going to take to court. And if we take them to court, they have to go on the stand and justify under oath on the record why they issued the fine. And you've seen Sarah Paquette speak. Oh, I'm going to, and we don't like him. We went to a casino once, so we gave him a ticket. That's all she's going to say. It's going to get tossed right out the door. All right. And criminal charges. Now, these are unbelievably rare because there is such a high threshold for a civil institution like FinTrack or the CRA to be able to get criminal charges even laid in the first place. How? How, when the CRA has got 30,000 people hired there who are not from Canada and don't speak English, and when FinTrack is doing nothing but DEI hiring, how would they actually culminate a proper investigation to hand to the cops and then have the cops say, oh, yeah, hey, look, FinTrack, yeah, they're on the ball on this one. Let's go file charges. It's BS, folks. Don't listen to it. Next, key insight. This is what most people miss. You don't get flagged because of your job, your income level, or your background. That's what FinTrack says, and it's a lie. If you're rich and white, FinTrack's on your case. You get flagged because of unusual movement of money, patterns that don't match your financial profile, and connections to other flagged activity. Well, what exactly does the financial profile mean? I built a $6 million company in 2 years. I wear t-shirts. I wear shorts. You know, why? Because I got great calves, ladies. You got to see them. All right. But it's Panama, man. I'm not wearing a suit down here. So if you looked at me on the street, you'd see a middle-aged guy with a Diablo beard and headphones on, talking on the phone in t-shirt, shorts, running shoes, socks for sure. That's what you'd see. You would never look at me and say that gringo over there is a millionaire. You'd never assume that. So what is it about the way I live that would make FinTrack say, oh, this guy's rich and his life does not match his profile? The way I dress and the things I do in town, which are not much because I'm working all the time, do not line up with the amount of money I have. So what does that mean exactly? Okay, let's go the other way. What if, and there's a loser down here that tried to do business with me, but I caught him. He's a loser. He would wear $9,000 suits and $2,500 shoes. And he had great business ideas, but he had absolutely no money whatsoever. Would they be paying attention to him, the broke guy with the nice clothes, trying to be something that he's not? Who knows? They don't know. They don't know. They just make things up as they go along. So ignore this nonsense again. Real world example. Here's a simple one. All right. So, scenario, you sell a house for $900,000. In a normal case, money goes from the buyer to the lawyer to your account. No strange behavior, nothing happens. A flagged case, this is according to them. Buyer uses complex layered transfers. Funds come from multiple foreign accounts. You move money quickly through several entities. So the report is triggered, a pattern detected, and possible disclosure requested, not required, requested by FINTRAC. Now, there's a piece of property I'm looking at. When it comes time for me to buy it, should I be able to make the deal I'm looking for, I am going to be pulling mortgages off of properties I already own. All four that I'm looking at, possibly even the fifth one, they're all in corporations, all with separate bank accounts. Plus, I've got a couple of prepaid Visa cards I've loaded up for this, plus crypto if I chose to use it, which I won't. But my source to buy this property, cash, will most likely come from 5 banks in Panama, 3 in Canada, and 1 in the United States. Because I've got the whole amount of money to buy this piece of property, but in different banks. So what's the difference between me sending all these transfers to one central bank and then sending the one big amount down? What's the difference between that and 7 transfers going to the same guy? Now, if anyone of you could tell me that there's something wrong with me taking out mortgages in different bank accounts and shipping the money, then I guess you're smarter than I am, because there's nothing wrong with that. Why would that be flagged? That is what we call a complex, multi-layered transfer. It's multi-layered because that's just how I feel like doing it. If you've got all kinds of steps and hoops you want me to jump through, guess what's going to happen? You're losing me as a client. Right? You're not going to get my money. If you're going to look at me and say, everything Kevin does seems a little fishy, but I don't know why, I'm just supposed to look out for fishy. How foolish is everything that FINTRAC just said there? Next. So we got a final takeaway here. FINTRAC is data-driven, not person-driven. Kind of true, but kind of false for the reasons we've already discussed tonight. So one transaction usually means nothing. Patterns over time means absolutely everything to FINTRAC. They're still not going to be able to prove you've done anything. FINTRAC is just going to take a wild guess and write you a ticket because they're hoping you don't know your rights. They're hoping that you don't know that they are just a civil entity, and they're hoping that you don't know you can fight those tickets in court like a traffic ticket. They assume you don't know, and they usually assume correctly on that one you don't. So reporting is done by institutions, not me. If I'm buying a house, I don't call FINTRAC saying, hi, I'm buying a house. If I'm buying collector cars or gold or silver, I don't call them saying I'm buying it. That's not my duty. I don't have to do that. So the institutions I'm talking about, the mortgage broker, the real estate agent, the real estate brokerage house, they're the ones that snitch to FINTRAC about you. Don't do business with them. So what we can do is whenever you do business with anyone, banks, mortgage brokers, real estate agents, we send a notice of liability about FINTRAC. So we tell them, this is a notice of liability. You do not have permission to give our information to anyone. No banks, no police, no FINTRAC, no CRA. If you hand this information over, you will be sued for no less than $500,000. Now, this is the things you got to do, everybody. When you're doing business with real estate, especially real estate agents, everyone, you have to issue a notice of liability every single time. Here's the other things you got to do. Pay attention to everything. Pay attention to everything a real estate agent wears. Take photos. And if you don't want to stick your camera in the guy's face, no problem. Have a friend of yours across the street, zooming in and taking photos. Get their license plate number on their car. All right. As soon as they're not looking, take photos of everything that's in their car. You want to build a real profile on who you're doing business with, everybody. Then you want to tell them, this is a notice of liability. You can't even talk about the fact that you and I are doing business. I'm a very private person. Well, but what about FINTRAC? I don't care about FINTRAC. I'm telling you, if you share my information with them, you're going to be very broke. There you are. You're allowed to do this. So what I have cooked up, because I knew that a lot of you would start asking questions, which many of you have been doing lately, and I love questions, everyone, is third-party ID systems are completely allowed in Canada. All right, this way FinTrack will never know who's buying the house. So here's what happens. You jump on the phone with me. We're in a chat room. And my lawyer will also be in that chat room. And what you do is you say, hi, Kevin, my name is John Smith, and I'm buying a house, and here's my driver's license, and here's my passport. Now, here's what I do. I write the number down in a book. I don't snap screenshots of it. I just write down your name and your driver's license number, and that's it. I write it down. I've looked at it. Your driver's license picture looks like you. Good. Your passport. Yep, that looks like you too. No problem. Oh, okay. And he's got a bill for $97 for Bell Canada for his cell phone. Excellent. Good. He's met the threshold. So what the lawyer and I do is we put together a statement that on, let's say, 2:14 p.m. Eastern time on May 23rd, 2026, we did hereby, whereas, moreover, herein, thereby, thereto, herein, did speak with John Smith and identified him with 3 pieces of ID, passport, driver's license, and a bill in his name. We have confirmed that Mr. Smith is who he says he is. Thank you very much. Have a great day. We notarize it by swearing it in, and now that document is sound. You take that to the real estate agent saying, my identification has been confirmed by a third party. Now, here's the awesome part of that, everyone. That notebook is in Panama. So if someone says, we want to see it, I say, no problem, get a court order. Now, they're not going to understand that. They'll try to get a court order in Canada, which, of course, I'm going to appeal because I'm not in Canada. They're going to have to figure out which province I registered my corporation in here in Panama, to which there are a few, and they're going to have to apply to the courts here to have me hand over a notebook, which, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that FinTrack decided to get a Canadian court order, not tell me about it, come to Panama. They actually do figure out which province I'm registered in, all right? They go to court here in Panama, and the judge says, yes, Mr. Johnston must turn over his book. What book? I'm sorry, man. We cleaned everything up. We had this guy, Jose. He came in here. He cleaned my desk. There's no book. You think for a second that I am going to hand over your information to FinTrack or anyone in Canada? Come on, man. You're dreaming. I will not ever cooperate with FinTrack, the CRA, or the Canadian government. I've had enough. I've had enough of all those institutions. The answer is positively no. Next. So this is where it gets really stupid. These are more AI slides, and of course, with my commentary on them about who has the legal duty to cooperate with FinTrack. So the legal obligations from the Proceeds of Crime, Money Laundering, and Terrorist Funding Act are the law places duties on reporting entities, including real estate agents and brokerages, lawyers and notaries, financial institutions, casinos, and so on. But you, the individual person, you're not a reporting entity. You don't have to contact them in any way. All right. And so with you, you cannot be directly punished under law for refusing to answer. But neither can they. Your real estate agent can simply say they use a third-party check, done. Your lawyer can say, my client has client solicitor privilege. I can't talk to you about my client. The notary might be able to say, I spoke to John Smith on this day and this time, but the notary could get their license pulled if they cooperate with FinTrack. So the deal with the notary is they're going to have to say, I'm so sorry, you'll have to get a court order. FinTrack's not going to get a court order to see what's inside of a notary's books. It's not going to happen. So for all you real estate agents and brokerages out there, come on. It's time for you to get tough. You are walking away from money. Right? You can't do it. All right? But don't do what the government says and you will be wealthy. Next, Two, what happens if you refuse to answer? So if you decline to provide your required info, and the word required simply means request, all right? It's not a legal requirement. It's just something that they want. So like your ID, your occupation, or source of funds, the real estate agent, if you say, I'm not cooperating, must, according only to FINTRAC, by the way. Option A, stop the transaction. They may refuse to act for you. Good, you're fired. Get lost. Right? I'll find next. Who wants my money, everybody? The listing could be canceled, or they won't proceed if you're the one actually selling the house. Fine, you're fired. Next. Option B, they will file a report anyway. So they file a suspicious transaction report with FINTRAC. So they sell you the house, but they say, you know, FINTRAC, it was kind of suspicious. And they do that just because you wouldn't cooperate with them. But that's where the notice of liability comes in. All right, so sue them, and you're going to win too. So this is completely unconstitutional. Why? Because they say it's a lack of transparency, and they say that a lack of transparency can be considered suspicious, but not must be considered suspicious. All right, think about that. Completely unconstitutional. You've got the right to be creepy. You do. No, it's okay for you to put a mask on and walk around all night long going, you could do that all night. You're allowed to do that. Being creepy is not a crime. You're allowed to be suspicious. You know, I could walk around like this all day. You'll all wonder what I'm doing, but I'm allowed to do it. I'm also allowed to be rude. Yeah. I'm allowed to be vulgar. Absolutely. And most importantly, everybody, I am allowed to be private. And I intend to be. And I will make sure that your privacy as my client is completely respected. Next, 3, what happens to the real estate agent? This is what FINTRAC says. If the agent continues working without proper compliance, they can, not will, can face administrative penalties. So fines from FINTRAC, and they say can be thousands to millions depending on the severity. Just take it to court, man. Just take it to court. You're going to win. And then there's regulatory discipline from the provincial real estate regulator like RICO in Ontario. Well, everybody, RICO, the Real Estate Commission of Ontario, plus all the real estate agencies like that in every Canadian province, they are private companies. I know it's Oria. I don't care, Danby, because they're just a private company. So for all you real estate agents out there who believe that you're licensed, you do not have a license to be a real estate agent. You have a membership with a private company like a gym or a pool hall. I used to have a membership at a pool hall called Captain's Snooker Club in Mississauga. Who remembers that place? I paid $15 for a lifetime membership, and that got me 50 cents an hour off of the cost of my table. It's a membership. Think about it. So what's RICO going to do? Hi, Mr. Jones. FINTRAC says, could you come and see us? You know what, RICO? I'm going to have to go ahead and decline that unless you're willing to pay me $1,500 an hour. And they'll say, oh, no, we don't do that. Goodness gracious me, no. All right? Don't be threatened by RICO. They're a bunch of losers. I've sued them before. I've walked right into their offices before. They suck. RICO is a private company. You don't have to be a member of the corporation to sell property, and you can sue them. You do not need to be a licensed real estate agent to do sales in Canada. You just don't. The courts were clear on that one. Next, in serious cases with FINTRAC, oh my God, what happens? Criminal exposure. I love that word. Criminal exposure, which means it's incredibly rare, but it's possible for willful noncompliance. No, it's not. No, I'm not going to comply. The best FINTRAC can do and the worst FINTRAC can do is file a ticket to me. They can give me a ticket. That's all. They can't file criminal charges. Just because I jump on the phone and tell you to go F yourself, it doesn't mean you've got grounds to file criminal charges. And if FINTRAC or any other government agent is on the phone with me, I'm going to tell them things about their mom that they didn't know. I'll tell them things about their own nether regions that they didn't know. I'll tell them all the things that I believe they're doing. Remember, FinTrack lies and says, well, you did something wrong. So I'm going to lie and just accuse them of everything. I love doing that. You know, like when I'm on the phone with some of these people who are very weak in their mental constitution for the government, I'll say, wait a second. No, okay. Parminder Singh, you're the guy that the FBI detained 3 months ago for blowing up a plane in Colombia. That's you. You're the guy, right? Oh, no, sir, that's not me. Like, no, it's got to be you. I recognize the voice because the guy spoke on TV. That was you. I'm calling the FBI. Like they flip out, man. You got to have fun with government employees. You just, come on, guys. Start giving them a difficult time. It's a blast. So the bottom line is agents are highly incentivized with threats, but nothing real. So they are told not to proceed with you or to cooperate with you. Fine, you're fired. Get lost. You're not getting my money. Yeah. If anybody out there, just so you know, to do business with me, I'll treat you well. But if you quote a single rule to me and you tell me that I have to do something, we're finished right there on the spot. I don't have to do a damn thing. I will choose to do or choose to not do. And you want to tell me it's your policy? I don't care about your policies at all. I care about getting what I pay for. There is nothing else in there that I care about at all. If we do a business deal, everyone, and you hand me an invoice and there's even 1 penny more on that invoice than the price that we negotiated for, I'm keeping whatever you sold me and I'm not paying the bill. Because as far as I'm concerned, you're a fraudster. So don't do that. Don't make a phone call saying, oh, I got the price wrong. We got to add $240. Too bad for you, man. You know, I've lost money on some contracts in the last 2 years. I misquoted. That's not the client's fault. That's my fault. So I make a phone call saying, hey, listen, Johnny, I had a small problem. The price I gave you was actually not $6,000. It was $7,200. But here's the deal. I'm going to eat the $1,200 because I quoted you $6. Don't you worry about that. I got this. All right. So I lose $1,200. On the next 40 transactions, I'm not going to lose a penny. All right. I learned my lesson. We all got to be fair in business, folks. If you're a ripoff artist or just in general, someone who's afraid to do business the right way, which is to make money, don't bother calling me because we're not doing business. Number 25 here. So what happens to you personally? There's no direct FinTrack penalty for refusing to cooperate with them, period. Right? It doesn't matter what FinTrack wants. Just tell them, no, nothing they can do. So you will not be fined for saying, I'm not answering that, or call my lawyer, or I don't answer questions, or fungu. It doesn't matter what you tell them. They have no jurisdiction and no authority to do anything to you at all. So real world consequences if you don't cooperate with a real estate agent who says you got to answer everything for FinTrack is the deal may collapse, but not because of you, because the agent is a coward. All right. The agent may drop you. Okay, that's fine. Bye. See ya. And the STR may be filed. That's for them saying suspicious transaction report. I'm suing you. It's that simple. Oh, and on top of all of that, I'm going to make sure that my entire audience knows that you are a scumbag, and we'll go ahead and absolutely annihilate your Yelp and your Google reviews and whatnot. And I might even hire some of the kids that, no, I'm not going to tell you the rest of that part, but your telephone is never going to stop ringing. I'll just word it that way. All right. So there's possible scrutiny that comes at a later time, but you know, FinTrack, who cares? You can scrutinize whatever you want. I'm not cooperating with you, period. Next, why real estate agents ask you questions like, where'd you get the money? What do you do for a living? Who's your employer? Where do you live? How'd you get all this money? How much money do you make a year? They ask you all these questions. Why? They believe that they are required to collect things like identity verification, which they say is mandatory. Mandatory. But can be confirmed through a third party, which is what I do. So if anybody wants to have their ID verified by me, where you know FinTrack's never going to get it, please just hit my website, KevinJJohnston.com, and we'll take care of it. They want to know your occupation, how much money you make, your source of funds, especially if risk indicators exist. There is no risk selling a house in Canada to anyone. What if you sell a house to a guy that did 40 years in prison for, I don't know, crashing an airplane, killing everybody on it? That's not suspicious, and that's not illegal. If he's done his time and he gets out and he writes a book about what he did and he sells it and makes lots of money and wants to buy a house, I'll be disgusted by him, but it's not illegal to do business with him. And I'm certainly not going to look at this guy and say, hey, wait a minute, that's suspicious. When I'm doing business with people, I have casual conversations, but I'm not fishing for information. It's a matter of I need to understand what my clients do so I can better serve them. I got amazing stories from people. Some people are truckers. Some people haul logs. Some people are lawyers. We got a bunch of cops as clients, and everyone's got a cool story to tell. But I ain't fishing. I can tell you that right now. I want your money. I'm going to give you a great service, man. You're going to get great service from me. You're going to get a great product, everyone. But I want the dough. And I am not asking FinTrack's permission to make money. I'm not asking the CRA's permission to make money and not pay tax. These are all my own choices. And you can all do the same thing. All right. So they call this Know Your Client, KYC, and failure to do it puts them at risk, not you. But there's no risk if they've got balls or spine or guts or whatever your idiom is. There's no penalty. You all got to grow up. Number 6, important nuance. And this is where people always get it wrong. Again, this is not my chart. This is FinTrack's chart. So you can refuse to give your ID to the real estate agent, but the agent cannot ignore that refusal and continue normally. They can, but they choose not to because they're cowards. So the system works like this. Action, you refuse, consequence, no direct fine. Action, agent proceeds anyway. Consequence, agent, it's only a risk of penalties if they shoot their mouth off about it. Action, agent stops the deal. Consequence, transaction fails. I fire the individual. I move on to the next guy. Action, agent files an STR. I thought it was suspicious transaction. Consequence, you may be flagged for review by FinTrack. The next consequence is I'm suing the hell out of that guy. And obviously, if FinTrack gets a bit lippy with me, I'm going to file criminal charges against the individual representative, uttering threats, personating a peace officer. The CRA, they do this all the time. FinTrack does this all the time. They lie and say that they're cops. We have the authority to come and take your house. We have the authority to walk in your house. We will arrest you. They say these things. That's personating a peace officer. All right. I'm not going to call you up and say, I'm going to arrest you. I can't do that. I'm not a cop. If I do that, I'm personating a peace officer. That's a criminal charge. Okay. So ask questions. Before you do business with anybody, ask questions. Do you cooperate with FinTrack? Yes or no? If they say yes, please don't do business with them. The bottom line, there is no law that punishes you for refusing to answer FinTrack questions. No law at all. Your deal may not proceed with that agent, not in general, but just with that agent. Your refusal can trigger a suspicious report by the agent, not by FinTrack. And that's when you sue the agent. And the agent cannot legally just ignore it. Yes, they can. You all have the right to remain silent. None of you have to collect KYC information. You don't have to store it in your database, and you don't have to give it to anyone, including and especially FinTrack, without a court order signed by a judge. So the legal burden sits on the agent and the brokerage, but there is no legal burden. This is all civil law. FinTrack and the CRA are not police forces. They are not law enforcement. They are losers, nothing more. Next. What mandatory actually means in the context of it's mandatory that you tell us everything about you. Ooh. Under the Proceeds of Crime, Money Laundering, and Terrorist Financing Act, identity verification is mandatory for the reporting entity, the agent or the brokerage, but not for you, the individual person. If you want to buy a house, you don't have to say jack, sweet, tweet, diddly squat, nothing. In plain terms, the agent must verify your identity to legally proceed with the transaction. Again, you can say, my name is John Smith. Pleasure to meet you. That's good enough. That is good enough. The agent is not actually responsible for collecting any of it. They choose to. Next, what the agent is required to do, and the word required means request. A real estate agent must, doesn't have to, but must, according to FINTRAC, obtain valid ID like a passport or a driver's license. Wrong answer. Confirm it matches you. Wrong answer. It's not a bar. They're not a bartender. For God's sakes, man. Never mind. Record specific details like name, date of birth, ID number, etc. Again, wrong answer. Here's the deal. If I'm buying a house, it's always going to go into a corporation. Here's the corporation that the house is going into. My name's Kevin J. Johnston. I'll tell them that just because I like saying my own name. But I could tell them my name's John Smith. I could say that because the house is going in the corporate name. Who cares who I am? It's the corporation. Then they'll start asking questions like, who's the director? John Smith? Okay, and who are the shareholders? Don't know, never met them. Don't care. Lie. I'm not telling anyone the truth. Forget it, man. They cannot legally complete certain parts of the transaction without doing this. Sure they can. So this is a pen. And I know that many of you watching the show know what this is. And here, I got this little thing here. I had a boo-boo, so this is a prescription. All right. So what you do with a pen is you go like this. See that? That's an answer to a question. Nope. Or NA for not available, not applicable, whatever it might be. That's it. Done. All right. So just get your real estate broker to draw a line like I did. That's all you got to do. Why don't people know this stuff? Oh, yeah, because the entire education system in Canada sucks. All of them. What happens if identity is not verified? Whew. Wow, I'm sure this is going to be good. If you refuse to provide identification as the buyer of a house, the agent is legally required to stop. No, it's a FINTRAC policy that they stop. That's not the law. They cannot proceed with a deal in a compliant way. That's correct. That statement is correct. But listen to the language, everybody. They cannot proceed with a deal in a compliant way. That's right. They can continue with the deal, just without my compliance. Yeah. All right. They may terminate the relationship. Good. Bye. Goodbye to bad garbage, man. If you are afraid of these idiots, we cannot do business anyway. Next, you're not the only one in the book. I'll tell you that right now. And they could file a report with FINTRAC, which of course will get them sued by me. And I will not be nice about it at all. This is what mandatory enforces, a condition on the agent's ability to act if the agent is gutless. Yeah, and many are. It's all a matter of, do you have a spine? Do you want to be right or do you want to be rich? I don't want to be right. I want to be rich. So if FINTRAC says the only way that you can be right is to do this paperwork, wrong answer, because I'm not going to be rich if I'm right according to you. There you go. Next. So what mandatory does not mean, this is really important, folks. It does not mean you are forced by law to hand over your identification. That's right. So you know when bylaw officers and security guards in Canada say, it's mandatory, I must see your ID. Well, you can tell them it's mandatory that I put this shoe in your anus. All right. It's not going to happen. It doesn't matter if somebody wants your identification. If you don't have to talk to the cops, the guys with guns, you certainly don't have to talk to losers in a mall. All right. So the mandatory also does not mean that you're going to be fined or arrested for refusing ID. You have the right to remain silent. Nobody can arrest you for not flashing identification. The only time that's not true is when you are the one behind the wheel of a car when it gets pulled over. They rely on the stupid Highway Traffic Act. And if you don't hand over your ID, they give you a tough time and they say, get out of the car. You say no, they break your windows because, cops are losers. They just love to do stuff like that. They love to escalate these things, man. But beyond that, I tell everyone the same thing. No. And mandatory does not mean that you are committing a crime by exercising your right to remain silent. You're not. You can decline anything. Absolutely anything. Like the only time that you've got to do something that somebody says is if you're inside someone else's private property. You go inside someone's house and they say, I don't like you, get out. You got to go. Right? You got to go. If you walk into someone's mall and they don't want you there, then they have the right to utilize their security guards to remove you from the property because the security guards are acting as a direct agent for the property owner. Completely legal. So leave. But if you're just, in a park, that's city property, and some bylaw jerk says, oh, you have to leave. Wrong answer. What's your name? Another wrong answer. All these things. Exercise your right to remain silent, everybody. Believe me, you'll make a lot more money. Next, the real world effect. Mandatory creates a gatekeeping rule. Gatekeeping rule, not a punishment rule. So all the agents, all the real estate and mortgage brokers out there, come on, guys, listen up. Situation, you provide ID. Result, transaction proceeds, but FinTrack still gets your stuff. Situation, you refuse ID. The agent believes they must stop. They don't have to stop. They just believe it. Situation, agent ignores requirement. Result, agent risks penalties, but only if the agent tells FinTrack. And it's amazing how many real estate brokers and agents out there call FinTrack. Hi, everybody. I did a deal. Why do you do this? You know how many of you out there have got liens on your homes because you did a tax return? If you didn't snitch on yourself, you wouldn't have tax liens, man. Do it my way. I haven't paid a penny of tax since the year 2000 in Canada. I never will again, just for the record, everyone. So the key distinction, and this is the whole game, everyone, mandatory is for them. It is not our true obligation, period. The bottom line is, the option is for you. It's only a practical consequence, tickets and fines, but not for you, the individual wanting to buy the house or get a mortgage. It's for the person that you're buying it from. All right. Then the bottom line of mandatory means the agent must verify your identification to comply with, they say it's the law. It's not. It's with the policy. Who cares about policy? And I can do your identification verification for you. That's what my company does. We keep you completely away from the Canadian government. So come to me and I will take care of your third-party information. And it's just going to be pen in a book that I could burn on a moment's notice if I had to. Also, it's locked in a safe, everyone. All right, next. So it does not mean that you are legally forced to cooperate, and your refusal does not create a penalty. It just creates a dead stop in the transaction if the real estate agent is afraid of FinTrack, which most are. So there you go, folks. We have now blown through that entire thing. I just wanted to make the final conclusion here that FinTrack are not police. FinTrack loses more than 50% of the time in court. FinTrack fines, you can dodge them. Let's just say that you have a corporation. Let's just say you ran a charity casino. Yeah, this would be my favorite example. If you ran a charity casino without a license and someone reports you to FinTrack, FinTrack is going to say, hey, we're going to fine your corporation for running this casino without a license, and you didn't do a KYC, and we're really mad. And they issue a ticket to that corporation. If I set the corporation up for you, you're not the director. Bugs Bunny is. You're just a shareholder. And if you get this massive $10 million FinTrack fine, if you wanted to, you could fight them in court for kicks, just for fun. But if you don't want to, sell me the corporation. I'll call FinTrack saying, hey, FinTrack, how you doing? KevinJJohnston here. I bought another corporation. You guys would like me to pay a $10 million fine. Yeah, how's that one going to work? All right. Or we could also just shut the corporation down, or we could amalgamate it with other corporations. There's all kinds of things to do. So long as you are not the director of the corporation that's involved with real estate or finance or mortgages or financial advice or crypto, it doesn't matter how many fines you get, because the director, being Bugs Bunny, will be the one that gets the ticket, not you. If you do things my way, you can make a lot of money and keep every single solitary penny that you make in your pocket. And that's exactly where all of your money belongs. So for those on YouTube and Rumble, there it is. That's me with the angel wings on. Come on, guys. I am your financial savior. Get a hold of me now on my website, KevinJJohnston.com. All right, folks. So we got through that massive slideshow. My throat is absolutely killing me. But now you know, FinTrack, well, they say they're not to be trifled with. I say they absolutely are. They're nothing. They're nobody. Don't forget that next week, everyone, Wednesday, May the 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern time is another Kevin J. Johnston group consultation. We do that on the last Wednesday of every single month. They're a lot of fun. They're anywhere between 2 and 3 hours. Everybody in there gets to ask a question directly to me and of me if they wish. We always have a lot of fun doing this because I get such amazing questions from everybody. And here's the best part. There's only 30 spots. The video footage never gets released after we transcribe the questions. I delete the footage. It's completely and totally private, everyone. Get over to KevinJJohnston.com right now and sign up for your group consultation next Wednesday, May 28th, 2026 at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Wow. It's time for Q&A, everybody. Let me shoot over to YouTube quickly here and see what people are asking there. All right. Where am I going to find an agent in Canada who has the guts to stand up to FinTrack? They're all scared shitless. So what chance do individuals have? Well, I used to hang out with a guy named Tori back in my teen years. And Tori, he was a jerk. But what he would do is he would ask every single chick in the place if you want to go on a date or, whatever. And about 30 would say no, but one would say yes. So he played the odds, and let's say he asks 30 and one says yes. Well, what is that? He scores about 3% of the time. But this guy, he tried. He worked the room. And you can do the same thing. You jump on the phone. You call some more. You keep calling. If you're going to invest in a house or sell a house, that's a lot of money, guys. You're just going to walk away from $500,000 and let the first loser on the phone that you speak to take the job? Are you kidding me? No, you got to make phone calls. You got to hunt, everyone. This is your own financial future, everybody. You got to protect it. And as soon as you determine that the person you're thinking about doing business with is afraid of the government, don't do business with them. They will screw you every single time. All right. Mr. Giggles. Hey, Kevin, thoughts on a ledger for beginners in crypto? Also thoughts on edge flow for crypto. I'm working on a really good crypto presentation, folks. There'll be something really big that we do. We're also going to have a crypto and tax seminar here in Panama City. We have the venue. The venue has said yes to it. Now it's going to be a matter of what the date that we can get the venue for. It's a great place. It's a small theater with 125 seats, great drinks, great food, good-looking ladies work there. The owner's an awesome dude. We will be training anybody who wants to come down and, of course, buy a ticket on crypto, finance, international investment, international banking, and naturally taxes. There's going to be a lot of CPAs coming down for that because we're going to be teaching CPAs how to crush the CRA. All right, next question from Dirt Boy. So it's best to do multiple transactions internationally under 10K without raising a flag. No, that's what FinTrack says. I deal with a company down here in Panama where we can wire unlimited up to $1 billion. All right. So we can wire 999 million, 990. Yeah, you know what I get. All right. That's what we can do. And there's no red flags in there because it's done legally and it's done properly. And here's all that you need to do international transfers like this is if it's me, I cut you an invoice and you accept it. And we have an email exchange that goes back and forth. We have a contract and you want to pay me for the invoice. Now, the banks will be hard pressed to not allow a transaction like that to go through. So no, we do big ones all the time, guys. Anybody who's going to buy a condominium down here, the minimum they're going to wire is about $125,000 US. That's not that much. If they want to get a luxury place, like, a 5-bedroom condo on the top floor of a building, all right, wire down 1.5 million and we'll take care of it. There's also, you can buy gold and silver down here and you can buy crypto down here by doing large transfers. No, you don't have to play the game of $9,500 forever. That is ridiculous. It takes way too long to move money when you're using smaller numbers like that. All right. Tunnel Vision. Did you talk to my boy Timothy there on the website? Let me know. Get on my website right now and let us know that you want to be an affiliate. Please do it now. Trinity Daniels asking for a friend. Files personal income tax in 24 and 25, claimed over 30K. CRA sent mail and called saying he has to register for an HST in Ontario and he owes $4,200 for 2024 and $4,800 for 2025. Okay, so what we do here is we get him to register for the HST number. I do his taxes for 24 and 25, and I put all the HST expenses in that he had for that particular tax year, and we get that money back, just like that. He said they registered him over the phone while he was confused. Well, that's what they do. That's why you don't talk to people. You say, call my lawyer, hang up the phone. But that's okay, Trinity. I can fix your friend's taxes, no problem. Jake, my cousin hasn't filed for many years, wants to start online company. What's the best way? Have me register the corporation, but he should have a business plan. He should know what he wants to sell and why. I can get the corporation registered for him, but he's got to get the bank account and he has to bring forward the knowledge to get that business to run. Kevin, can you do a show for farmers and rented land to avoid capital gains? You know what? I think we should do that. I think I should do an entire show on like farmland and rental properties. That's a good idea. Stick with me, man. We'll get that one done for you. Back to the Rumble Room here. Question. I met a pretty sharp-looking businessman in a medical spa. Front desk girl told him to write off all proceedings for anti-aging. I told him he can do it, put it in marketing. Absolutely can put it in marketing. All right? Absolutely. I told you, we can make this haircut I got worth $25,000, no problem. Any cosmetic surgery, anything at all. We should. I mean, a beard trim could be worth 10 grand if you do it the right way. That's a very good point. Okay. All right. Goranuov, email me right now my website, please. I would absolutely like to deal with that for you. Next question. Do you have a room? Do I have room in the group session? Yes, Fit Chick. There are about 6 spots left, so please get in there. Absolutely. Black War Forge, refiled 4 years with you. How long before the checks start showing up? Okay, guys, the CRA is playing a lot of filthy games right now. They are pretty ridiculous. We've had some of our clients get refunds in 2 weeks, but that's not common. That's rare. We've had a lot of people call us up after 10, 12 months, and that's when they get their money back. And that's the part that bothers me the most is the CRA is delaying it because they want to earn as much bank interest as they possibly can on your money. It's not fair, folks, but that's the reality. Just checking the questions here in TikTok. By the way, on TikTok, everybody who's not following, all of you follow right now, please. It helps the algorithm. And if you're on TikTok, boom, 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 boom. Two fingers, just like that. Let's get the hearts rolling here. We're only at 39,000 likes. Let's get to 50 if we can, because we're down to our last 11 minutes here, folks. Just fire away. If you're watching on Rumble, it's right about there. Hit the thumbs up, please. If you're on YouTube and Twitter, Restream, Twitch, wherever you might be, folks, please just jump out there and share. Let everyone know that you're watching the Tax and Money Show. with Kevin J. Johnston every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on freedomreport.ca. All right, everybody. Who's got the next question here? Clay, I'm starting a home improvement company again. How should I set up my corporation? I'm the only owner. That said, CRA is still all over me. Well, Clay, if they're all over you on a corporate debt, I can buy the corporation from you and take all the debt away. That's not a problem. If you've got previous debt on, let's say, a sole proprietorship, then I've got to redo your taxes properly for you and get those into order. But you let me know what you want to get done, and I'll absolutely take care of that for you. Superman, I have farms for sale in Ontario. Superman, do not sell them until you've spoken to me on my website, please. Let's talk about that and set you up properly. Rob, hey, Kevin, when I was speaking to CRA about my GST number, I asked about changing the director. CRA said they need a letter with the new director's SIN. No, they don't need that at all. What they need is a director's step-down letter stating that you stepped down a couple of years ago, and we just give them the new director's name. That's it, guys. I'll tell you the truth. Nobody has to have a social insurance number to be the director of a corporation in Canada. And yes, corporations can be directors of corporations, everyone. So, Rob, don't ever ask the CRA for advice about the CRA. They're going to lie to you every single time. Every single time. All right, let's have a look here. Let's go back to YouTube. All right, Alex, yeah, looking forward to seeing you there, pal. Appreciate that. JPW, the CRA sends me NOAs and calls all the time. I've never answered the phone or any letters for years. Will they go away or should I answer them? Well, we have to answer them with the appropriate legal letter. They will never go away. What happens is their system will spit letters up, and if you never reply, that agent, after 5 or 6 tries, just goes click, and they pass it off to another agent. And you never know, the next agent might be a bit more zealous or overzealous and want to get a hold of you in some way. No, never ignore your problems. Excuse me. Instead, what we have to do is we've got to threaten the CRA all the time with the appropriate legalese. But remember this, everyone, don't bluff. Yeah, you can't bluff, folks. The CRA are criminals. If you're telling them I'm filing charges, you got to do it. And it's really difficult to talk people into doing it for some reason. I just don't get it. All right, checking your questions here on TikTok, everybody. Mike, if CRA charges me interest on a late filing, can I do anything about it? Well, yes, you can object to it. And then what I can do is do your taxes and make sure that your tax bill is zero, because then the late penalties go away. The late penalties only exist if you actually owe money, not if you don't owe money. All right, what's next there? What about probate? Man, I could do a whole show on probate. I'll tell you that right now. Probate exists when you have a will and nothing more. Wills are garbage, everybody. In Canada, everybody contests wills, and it's incredible how many people out there believe that a dead person's stuff belongs to them. And they'll say the stupidest crap in the world. You know, like, I once had to wipe Dad's nose, so I should get the house and the Cadillac. Oh, yeah? Well, I had to clean Dad's wine bottle off once, so I should get the Porsche and the summer home. It's incredible how pathetic people become. Probate is something that sometimes the banks will tell you that you have to do, but you do not have to put anything into probate at all. If you structure everything properly in your life, so instead of having a will, you put your house into a numbered corporation, and the instructions for the transferring of the shares goes there. If the bank account has, let's say you do it this way, and I did it this way. I have a lawyer in, where like the Canada and Texas border is. Of course, I'm not going to tell you where it is, but the lawyer has all the instructions for all the bank accounts that I have. And should I die, which I never will do, my adult children will get those passwords for all the banks. And I told them, should that happen, you contact the lawyer, get all the bank passwords, drain every one of my bank accounts completely, and do not report my death for at least 3 years. You take everything, because I've structured everything in shareholders agreements. I die, my kids just get the shares. They'll get all my condos, they'll get all my houses, they'll get my beachfront property, they'll get my crypto, they'll get my gold, and they'll get my silver. The CRA will know nothing about anything that they get. And if you structure your life that way, then there's never going to be any probate, because the first rule that I've got on all my corporate bylaws for all my properties is that this property can never go into probate. Just like that. Government probate says I owe them $300,000. Jimmy, then we got to fight that one with a motion in the courts to get probate canceled. Yes, we can get probate canceled. What if somebody put their house in a trust agreement? Well, hopefully it was put together properly. And if the trust is going to be acting as the holder of the property, you still have to name beneficiaries to the trust. That's why trusts are a pain in the ass. They're almost never done properly. I do it properly through numbered corporations. Hey, what's next here? What happens if the CRA freezes a bank account? We redo your taxes immediately on the tax year in which they say that you owe. We then send the tax report in, along with a letter and a legal threat to the CRA saying that we are invoking Clause 7 of the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, which means I do not owe any tax money until I've had my day in court. And we let the bank know that we're going to be suing them for it with a notice of liability. And we give the CRA exactly 1 day to send in the reversal of that decision, and the bank will get unlock your bank account. Now, the CRA sends a requirement to pay letter. You can ignore it, but the banks don't ignore it. The banks cooperate because they're all in on the same money laundering scam. You start filing criminal charges for theft and breach of trust against bank managers all over the country, you'll see those bank policies change in a day. You know, Canadians just don't fight. They don't fight for their rights. That is very sad, folks. You got to start going on the attack. All right. Next question. This is CSR. Can you still get tax back when withdrawing a LIF? Yeah. I would have to do a whole show on LIFs, RRSPs, RESPs, GICs, and TFSAs. That would be a really complex show to go through. Stay out of LIFs. Don't do anything with the Canadian government. Don't do business with Canadian crypto exchanges. Don't buy stocks and bonds on the stock market through a Canadian brokerage. Do an American brokerage. Don't get RRSPs or GICs or any of that nonsense, because you just get taxed. It's a scam, guys. It's a scam. Do business through the USA. Don't do any business with Canadian institutions. They always want to just steal from you. Yes, Rob, that's true. That's exactly what you get. Superman says, I had an issue where my property was a first dealings avoiding probate. Sold the house. Land registry says property needs to go to probate. Any suggestions? Yeah, we find out who the individual land registry person was. We accuse them of fraud and we sue them for tort fraud. You watch how fast the probate bullshit disappears. That's what you do. Always take the individual to court and always make an accusation. Even if you can't back it, it doesn't matter. You can file the lawsuit. They got to hire a lawyer. $25,000 out the door right away. Every government employee that messes with your life in some way, sue them, cost them money. You got to screw with them back every single time. I'm going to tell you this about government employees, even cops. They always back down. When you bring legal documentation to their houses and serve them at night at their homes, they always back down. They're always tough until you are on their front porch, which I absolutely love doing. Anthony, how can you legally open a U.S. bank account in Canada? You don't do that. Okay. Well, you could get a corporation in Wyoming, Delaware, or Florida, or Texas. And once you've got the corporation registered, apply for your EIN number right away. And then you can apply for Relay, the bank called Relay. They're just like Tangerine and Coho in Canada. They're a non-brick and mortar banking establishment. And that way you get one. Then just drive down to the States, with your corporate registration or fly down and get yourself a bank account with Chase. Chase is pretty good, guys. They're really good. Don't worry about Chase. They're fine. Okay, I'm checking YouTube right now. Where can you buy crypto in Canada without going through a crypto exchange? Well, you could do it here in Panama. I could hook you up with the crypto company I deal with here. You could transfer unlimited amounts of money, and they'll just buy the crypto for you and transfer it to your wallet. Binance and crypto.com. I highly recommend that you utilize a really, really, really good VPN because Binance has blocked Canada. And rightfully so, because the Canadian government was trying to get them to share information, and Binance said absolutely not. Lily, my dad passed away. How can I avoid probate? I got to be your tax guy right now before people start screwing that whole thing up. Believe me when I say this, there's going to be a lot of people that screw a lot of things up. Stay out of probate at all costs, everyone. Okay. Jake, as for merchant accounts, get yourself a Wise account for storing money, WISE.com. And you can start off with Stripe and Square and PayPal. Get all three for now. In case one shuts down, then you still got the other two. Can corporations have a CEO for property? Corporations can have the following titles, all right? Here's the following job titles you can have in a corporation. Toilet scrubber, butt sniffer, floor licker, I don't know, TV watcher. Who cares? It's a title. It's a word. Who cares about titles? Yeah, chief executive idiot, chief executive jerk, chief executive moron, chief executive anything. These are just titles, everyone. I don't get the Canadian compulsion to have a title on their name. Look at my business card. I'm the director of internal marketing inspection affairs. What does that mean? And the real question is, who cares? All right. That's the real question. And if I was out there scouting for, I don't know, let's say a Canadian woman to date, which I will never do again, I would say, oh yeah? You're that long title? How much do you make after tax? All right, let's compare that with your expenses. Oh, what's that? Car payments and rent, food, gas, water, electricity, internet, cell phone. Oh, you're a single mother of 6? Oh, geez, how much money do you have left? Oh, what's that? Nothing. Gone. Titles, man. I don't care about the titles. Professional asshole is what I am. I only care about the money. I do not care about the title. People ask, are you a CPA? No, I'm not. Are you a lawyer? No, I am a legal agent. I'm better than every CPA in the country, and I'm better than every lawyer in the country of Canada. I don't have a title. Strategist, tax dude, I don't know, middle-aged, pain in the ass. Forget titles. Yes, you can have a CEO, but you can also have a floor licker. All right, guys, never mind titles. They mean nothing. It's arbitrary crap. All right, checking more of your questions here. Razor. My broker is requesting KYC information. What should I disclose? Does FinTrack get my info? Well, yeah, if you give it to them. Yeah, you will. I just so happen to know a guy that does Mexican driver's licenses. You could get one of those because you are allowed, according to NAFTA, to have a Mexican driver's license. I mean, I've got one. You could have one too. You could use that as your identification. If they say, well, we need a passport. I don't have one. Oh, we need a Canadian piece of ID. I don't have that either. Well, why not? Because I just never applied. All right. Are you a Canadian citizen? Yes. Well, how are you going to prove that? By telling you I'm a Canadian citizen. All right. There you go. But what you do, Razor, get a hold of me on my website, KevinJJohnston.com. And I will do a third-party intervention here where I confirm your identification. I use a pen and a little notebook, and I write a few things down. I do not keep your driver's license on file. I do not keep your passport on file. I do not keep your banking information. I don't even ask for that. And then I verify with my lawyer who you are, and you can take the third-party affidavit with you to any broker in the in the country. Gus, in your opinion, what applies in Canada's CRA government apply to Oz's down? Oh, Australia. The goods and services tax and payroll run identical in Australia to Canada, just different numbers, identical. So what do I know about Australia? Enough to do damage to the Australian government and enough to piss off the ATO. Are you in Australia? Let me know. What do I charge for a consultation per hour? $6.95 for the half hours during the week, $1,500 for an hour on the weekend. Right now, we're only doing Saturdays. And we could, if you do want the full hour and you need your lawyer or somebody involved, we can still do Friday mornings for the full 1 hour. Has a brokerage ever been audited or fined over FinTrack? Well, probably. We don't have all of FinTrack's records because FinTrack only releases information where they wrote really big fines. But if you just go over to perplexity.ai or Claude or ChatGPT and ask it to pull up every single time that FinTrack lost in court, you'll get a sense of what kind of tickets that they write and how often they actually lose. Oh, yeah, let it go. Wise, if anybody wants to have protection, WISE.com, wise.com. They don't do payment gateways, but you can do payroll there and you can store unlimited amounts of money there. No problem. If you want to do payment gateways for a website, get all three. PayPal, they suck, but get them anyway. Stripe's not bad, get them. And Square.com, they're kind of a pain in the ass. Get all three. So that way you've got three ways to pull in money. And yes, Jake, there are merchant of accounts available in Panama. Those are not a problem. Can somebody have a one-on-one call with you? Does it cost anything? Yes, you'd have to buy yourself a consultation on the website. But remember, Wednesday, the last Wednesday of every month, everybody, I do the group consultation. There's only 30 spots for that. It's about 3 hours long. And everybody gets to look me in the eye and ask me a question in a private chat room directly. So if you can't do the full $6.95 for the consultation, then you certainly can get the $250. It's $250. There's no HST on that. And come on in. They're a really good time. That's 8 p.m. the last Wednesday every single month, except Christmas time. We don't do December. And that's Eastern time, all right? 8 p.m. Eastern time. What's my phone number, Jimmy? Wow. If I gave you that on this show, I would never sleep again. I wouldn't even have time. I would just pee my pants because I'd be so busy answering the phone. I wouldn't even have time to just, get down there. It's just crazy. No. You don't get the phone number, guys, but you do talk to me in Zoom. That you do get to do. When you're a client, by the way, you do get our phone numbers, just for the record. I'm checking more of your comments here. All right. Dustin, I have a farmer that wants to talk to you. He's owned a trucking company, paid $350K tax in 1 year. Oh, man. Okay, man. So this is what you got to know. I have figured out the entire trucking industry, tax-wise. I don't want anything to do with driving a truck. In fact, I salute you guys who can do it. It's not an easy job. But I can remove the taxes, 100% of the taxes from every single trucking company in Canada. That's not a joke. That's not me being facetious. I am not being sarcastic nor sardonic. I can do it. So this trucking guy, tell him to get a hold of me. He'll make a lot more money. Dustin, you want to be an affiliate? Jump on my website right now and just put down affiliate in the subject line. KevinJJohnston.com. What do I think about the Toronto Rock win? Well, I like professional lacrosse. I wouldn't mind having a professional team here in Panama. But there was a day when I cared about sports, just from the standpoint of it was a good time. Lacrosse is the only game in Canada that I would actually pay money for. What do I think about the Toronto Rock winning? Good for them. I mean, that corporation, they've put together a pretty good product. But I thought they played in Hamilton now. Tell me if that's true or not. How could we clear a consumer proposal from Equifax and TransUnion? Through, first off, we do it through legal letters where we make the demand that they remove it all. And the next thing is we can file a lawsuit against Equifax and TransUnion and whoever put the proposal there, because the proposal probably wasn't done right. They never are. Ever. Mario, get a hold of me on my website, please. That's the only way to do it. MB Hash. One of my clients got a third-time HST audit even after having a full year of T2 audits. Okay, well, don't cooperate with the audit. And when the auditors call saying, we want to audit you, just say, hey, listen, thank you. I'll do this for you. Thank you for the glorious opportunity to work for free and have you waste my time in my office. We're going to decline the audit. And if you do anything at all that I think is malicious afterwards, I'm going to file criminal charges for malicious prosecution. That's what we do. Never cooperate with auditors. They're losers. They have no power. All right, checking more of your comments here. Yeah, everybody out there who thinks I'm one of those free man on the land people, I'm not. And I'm the first one to tell you, stay away from those people. They're just going to get you in trouble. Oh, Miller's Live. Ontario Raiders. I was there opening day for the first game. I got a press box seat for that one. Yep. I remember them well. If you're not an accountant, how do you remit CRA without the gray area? What, you think I'm the only guy that works here? I've got a big crew. I got a great accounting team. Great accounting team. Of course, accountants work for me. All right? Yeah. But remember this. I know tax code, tax law, and corporate law better than anyone, any lawyer out there. I crush them all. So for me, I'm the strategist. My team does what I say, and my team does a great job. I haven't filed any taxes, including GST or PST, since day one of the corporate structure. Please help. You got to sell that corporation to me and walk away from it. We'll get you into a brand new one. Get a hold of me on my website right now. My name, Kevin, middle initial J, last name Johnston, Johnston. And tell me that you want to sell me your corporation and all your problems go away. What's the crypto exchange in Panama called? Ancient the Chinese secret. I will not be telling you that because this is business. I set the deal up and I get a cut. So get a hold of me on my website. It's not a big cut, but it's a cut. And I will put you in touch with the individual who runs the entire thing, but I will introduce you as my client. And you can do unlimited amount. There's no limit to how much crypto you can buy. Oh, yeah, Miller's Live, the OLA. Well, they tried to screw me. I hurt them pretty bad. I don't care about those people anymore. All right, OSAP, education. Is there a way to get out of it? Yeah, there is. There's a series of legal steps you have to take to get rid of the Ontario secondary whatever education program loan they give you. First, we have to fill out an FOI, get them to divulge all the information on it. They won't have it. Then we file a motion in the court to get rid of it, plus a lawsuit against OSAP because you would have done so under duress. And believe me, they'll just drop the OSAP, but we got to do it in a very specific order. Costs a couple of bucks, but it works. How to set up your parents to avoid paying capital gains. Zach, we get your parents' house into a numbered corporation. We give you, let's say, 1 or 2% of the shares. When your folks die, their shares default to you. No probate, no capital gain. And if you do that with every property, there is no capital gain. If we stop cooperating with the auditors, they stop HST refunds unless we provide all the information. Yeah, okay, so I will provide the information for them, but we're not going to let the auditor come into your house and question you. Why the hell would you do that? We just send them invoices and receipts. Here you go, fungu. Yeah, folks, if you're going to be hiring me, first off, we always go through the consultation because I got to know your story. And I got to know what category your problem is. Income tax, corporate income tax. Is it some type of divorce situation where we're trying to move assets around? Is it corporate debt? Do you want to be on my HST program? Do you have payroll problems? Like, we got to go through all that. I got to know exactly what the problem is before I can make suggestions and then take action. It's not like you show up and I go, boom, fairy dust, fairy dust, fairy dust, your problem solved. Like, I got to know what the problem is, guys. Okay. So yeah, we do all that through the corporation, and then we build a strategy, and then we get cracking. Okay. Do I have less? Oh, 1111.vita. Are you following me, by the way? Hit the follow button. We will have lessons. I've had a lot of requests for that. So I am going to start to put together a really good training program. But you know what it is? It's time. Like, I'm already doing 14 hours a day still, even with a huge team now. Still a lot of hours go into what I do, folks. So in time, it's coming. Thank you, Paulie. I appreciate that. Okay. And you're like the Wolf of Wall Street, but more advanced. I love that comment. Thank you very much. All right, everybody. Look, you all know I get up at 5 every day. I usually am in the office between 6 and 7. I've had a long day, and I still have not finished my 20,000 steps for the day. So I got to walk 5 kilometers to finish that off. All right. Which means I'm going to be sweating my butt off outside. It's a hot day today. Let me get my steps done. And so I stay in shape, keep my brain set. All right, folks, I've had a great time tonight. And we've now gone through, again, FinTrack. So there's been 3 parts. And if you ever want to see the whole 3 parts on FinTrack, simply head over to freedomreport.ca, everybody, and you'll find the show archived there. It is very, very important that you stop cooperating with the CRA and you stop cooperating with FinTrack. Every time you cooperate with any government agency or anyone at all who issues a threat, it just costs you money and you get nothing of value for that money. If you're going to spend money, you should get something for it. If someone says, give me money, you got to say, go to hell. And you got to do it firmly, and then call the cops if they keep pestering you. Yes, you can call the cops on the CRA. You can call the cops on FinTrack. You can file lawsuits against them. You can file charges against them. You can stop them dead in their tracks. All right, everyone, that's what we got to do. My name is KevinJJohnston. This is the Tax and Money Show that runs every single Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, or right here on freedomreport.ca. Thank you for being here. I love you all, and good night.